since the day Garrett Peterson was born, his parents have had to watch him suddenly just stop breathing. Garrett was born with a condition known as tracheomalacia, which left his trachea so weak the littlest thing made it collapse, cutting off his ability to breathe. So the Petersons contacted Dr. Glenn Green at the University of Michigan, who specializes in conditions like Garrett's. He teamed up with Scott Hollister, a biomedical engineer who runs the 3D printing lab, to create a remarkable solution to Garrett's problem, a device that will hold open Garrett's windpipe until it is able to function on its own. According to the article 3D Printing, A World Full of Plastic Engineers, written by the American Chemistry Council and published in April of 2014, the healthcare industry has embraced 3D technology to make personalized hip implants, dental crowns, hearing aids, prosthetic limbs, and much more. 3D printing is a new technology that will change the way we create and use everyday items. During this presentation, you will learn how 3D printing works, you will discover who uses 3D printers and what they use them for, and you will see what lies ahead in the future of 3D printing. 3D printing is a technology that uses different kinds of plastics to create virtually anything a person could ever want to create. According to 3D Printing, A World Full of Plastic Engineers, published in March of 2014 by the American Chemistry Council, a 3D printer functions sort of like an inkjet printer, except instead of using ink to print a flat picture on a piece of paper, it typically uses plastics or a few other materials to build an object layer upon layer in 3 dimensions. The amount of objects that are able to be printed and used is on the rise. 3D Printing, A World Full of Plastics Engineering, published in March of 2014 by the American Chemistry Council, revealed the materials used as ABS, PLA, and nylon. These materials have been said to be the easiest to work with. Plastic can be formed into almost anything. As stated in the article, Ubiquitous 3D Printing Will Lower Costs, published in November of 2013, 3D printing is cheaper than actually buying items from a store. Joshua Pierce chose 20 items that are commonly used in homes. He then searched for their price on Google Shopping. The cost for these items would be anywhere between $312 to $1,944. However, using a 3D printer, the cost would only be $18, and they could easily be made over the weekend. The internet provides the ability to shop online, but with 3D printing technology, everyone will have the ability to print whatever they need, whenever they need it, without having to leave their homes. With readily available materials and lower costs for consumers, 3D printing is developing into more than just simple at-home printing. 3D printing is also used in film production, fashion, and in healthcare. According to 3D Printing, A World Full of Plastic Engineers, published in March of 2014, 3D printing was a huge part of the recent James Bond film, Skyfall. Rather than destroying a very expensive Aston Martin, the filmmakers had 3 models of this car printed in 3D. 18 different parts were printed for these cars, and each car had fully functioning doors. Just last year, 3D printers were used during Fashion Week in New York City. Both students and designers were able to create clothing using a 3D printer. This printer used a new filament that was both flexible and soft, allowing the dresses to flow with the model's movements. Perhaps someday soon, we will be back to making our own clothing, only we'll be using a 3D printer rather than needle and thread. 3D printing has also become largely successful in the field of medicine. According to 3D Printing, A World Full of Plastics Engineering, published in March of 2014 by the American Chemistry Council, Doctors last year used polyether ketone to replace 75% of a man's skull. Specialists initially analyzed and measured the patient's head and then printed a new piece for his plastic skull, including small surface details to make it easier to attach and to encourage cell growth. If doctors are able to practice such advanced medicine already, imagine what the future of 3D printing may hold. Soon, doctors may be able to print actual human organs used for transplants. According to The Next Frontier in 3D Printing, Human Organs, written by Bob Griggs in April of 2014, some 18 people die in the United States each day waiting in vain for transplants because of a shortage of donated organs. However, doctors soon hope to use what they refer to as bioprinting. That is, the process of 3D printing with living biological materials rather than plastic. Scientists already understand the process of bioprinting, but the test of printing and actually using a human organ has yet to be done. Of course, not everyone is in support of this new technology. Being able to print human organs is years away, but questions of whether or not this advancement is ethical have already risen. As summarized in The Next Frontier in 3D Printing, Human Organs, published in April of 2014, Questions like, what will happen when scientists begin making enhanced organs? And who will be in charge of producing the organs? And who will make sure the quality of the organs is at its best? Have already been asked by a few unsettled people. Yet, the future of bioprinting is expected to continue since scientists are still so far away from being able to actually print human organs. The ability to print human organs and use them for transplants is expected to be widely accepted by the time scientists have the capability and FDA approval. When faced with waiting on a transplant list for years and possibly dying, or having an organ printed immediately, most people will choose the printed organ. 3D printers are rapidly changing the way we create and retrieve the items we need every day. The process of 3D printing is quite simple, as the requirements are merely a 3D printer, plastic, and a model of what is to be printed. With 3D printing technology becoming increasingly popular, the film industry, fashion designers, and doctors have all come up with ways to use them. The future of 3D printing holds the possibility of creating organs, but also brings with it many questions of ethical concern. Now, back to the story we first talked about with Garrett Peterson in Doctors Use a 3D Printing to Help a Baby Breathe, published in March of 2014. According to Garrett's mother, he has been doing well since receiving the piece that holds open his windpipe. The splint in Garrett's windpipe will expand and grow as Garrett ages. Eventually, the splint will dissolve as his windpipe develops and he is able to breathe on his own. 3D printing helped save the life of Garrett, and perhaps in the near future, 3D printing will make an impact on your life as well. Thank you.